This programme was made with support from the National Lottery Heritage Fund. On the Heritage Channel tonight, an old building gets a new lease of life, old postcards inspire a new song, and old skills are in danger of being lost forever. Welcome to the Heritage Channel, where we explore the fascinating history and heritage of North East Lincolnshire. Heritage Lincolnshire will be working in partnership with Grimsby Hebrew Congregation on the future of the St Moses Montefiore Memorial Synagogue in Grimsby. Thanks to funding from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, the project will aim to gain an understanding of the current condition of the synagogue, carry out emergency repairs to this historic building, and explore opportunities with the local community to share the story of Jewish heritage in Grimsby.
The synagogue project is really exciting and a little-known history of Grimsby. So that's why it's so exciting for Heritage Lincolnshire. We love to reveal hidden histories, and working with the synagogue is part of our Heritage at Risk work. My colleague Hannah is supporting them with their application, and we hope this will be the start of some really exciting revealing of that history.
Work continues apace on the restoration and conservation of the heritage building in Bethlehem Street in Grimsby, owned by local community organisation Our Big Picture. To escape the building works, Paula and the team have taken up residence in the newly refurbished St James House. Built in the 1970s by the Diocese of the Church of England, St James House has been a home for visiting priests, the local council and the BBC before falling into disuse. Working in partnership with the local council, eFactor's Mark Webb saw an opportunity to repurpose the building for the benefit of local businesses and the wider community.
This is St James House, and it's been, for as long as I can remember, it's been part of Grimsby Town Centre. In the last 15 years or so, it's been pretty much left derelict. The only people who've been occupying it are pigeons. It's got a history, but the last 15 years, not really been active. It was a great place where civic activities used to take place. It was the heart of Grimsby at one point, in this beautiful setting. So when I saw it, I thought, right from the beginning, years before we got any ideas, something should happen with this building, something should go on. We chose ID Architecture. They had a marvellous vision, a realistic vision that it almost emulated what I felt about this building.
The brief itself is actually, what can we do with the footprint of this building? So when we first took it on, there's obviously the main core, which you can see behind us here, and that links all the upper floors, including the large sort of conference space that was there, cellular offices, and then randomly there was a flat on the top floor with the most bizarre access you could imagine. And then at ground floor was these open arches that used to be historically for car parking when accessed from Cartergate, essentially no man's land, it was a dumping ground, it wasn't particularly a great space to be in. Part of the brief was, how do we bring back civic presence to this incredible space? First thing we thought of, well, actually, let's repurpose those arches. Let's take a nod from the viaducts of Paris. Let's actually fill these with some useful units, because if all of a sudden you've got this glazed frontage that opens out, you're showing activity, you're drawing people in. And so that was one of the key parts of the brief. Can we create lettable space for people to enjoy and use? The upper floors then were actually targeted more directly on eFactor's brief, which essentially is they need to provide office space for growing commercial units, for small businesses, and that's part of their main agenda, is how do we maximise the available space for doing that? The final element is the first floor, which is going to come as a phase 2 aspect. In town, there isn't really, aside from the town hall, a large purpose-built conference space. Now, we've already got the footprint of it already there, so why not maximise and make something of it? In a way, it was a brief of lots of many parts, but actually coming together just to create this cohesive whole, which we're really pleased with.
Cleethorpes recently hosted Beach of Dreams, a national initiative that aims to celebrate the rich history of our coastal communities with a touring display of silk flags providing a focus for local events and activities. The Cleethorpes project was led by Lacuna's Carolyn Carr, who arranged for a full day of events including music workshops by Freestyle Academy. Supporting activities were provided by our Big Picture and the Culture House, who took the opportunity to launch their calendar of summer events, Our Future Starts Here. Despite efforts to encourage young people to take up practical conservation occupations, there is still a shortage of suitable labour for heritage work, and many traditional skills are in danger of dying out completely. According to Tracy Stringfellow from Heritage Lincolnshire, this is putting our precious heritage at risk.
Many of the skills that once held our towns and villages together are now at risk of disappearing altogether. Despite years of effort to encourage more people into traditional trades, there's still a shortage of workers who understand how best to care for older buildings. We absolutely need skilled people in construction, and modern training does a brilliant job of preparing people to build new homes and infrastructure. But most courses don't introduce the principles of traditional building early on. So though they may learn to lay concrete or fit plasterboard, they might never be taught about lime mortar or why older buildings behave differently. And that gap matters because it shows how we treat the buildings we already have. Knowing how older buildings are put together, how materials like lime, slate and timber work, and how to repair them sensitively and with care is important. It isn't just about listed buildings or ancient churches. This issue impacts our pre-1940s building stock, our homes, our shops, chapels and pubs that make up so much of our towns and villages. Many of the buildings you live or work in today could benefit from someone who understands how traditional materials behave and how to repair them in ways that won't cause damage over time. At Heritage Lincolnshire, we help people learn how to look after their buildings. We spend a lot of time working with colleagues across the country to find those skills, teach them, and keep them alive for the benefit of our buildings, our communities, and the places we call home. We want building owners to feel confident, not overwhelmed. Heritage Crafts is the national charity for heritage crafts, and each year their red list tracks which traditional crafts are surviving and which are close to extinction. Some of the skills now at risk might sound irrelevant or their loss inevitable, and you might smile at the thought of parchment making or straw hat weaving as quaint relics of days gone by. But these crafts were once commonplace, and skills now listed as extinct were all at one time viable and valued. In its most recent update, 62 crafts were listed as critically endangered and 84 more as endangered. And what makes the list striking is that it includes skills that still have real meaning. Skills like millwrighting, the craft of restoring windmills and watermills. In Lincolnshire, that's not an historic curiosity, it's a living part of our landscape, with great surviving examples across the county, like the Six Sail Mill at Waltham, and they're directly impacted by this loss. There are training providers like the Building Crafts College in Stratford, the University of Lincoln's conservation courses, Lincoln Cathedral's Works Department, and Groundworks in North East Lincolnshire. And they offer a range of training from apprenticeships to master's programmes that aim to preserve traditional skills and support the heritage sector. But this isn't widely and consistently available. What we really need is a joined-up approach to heritage skills across training, funding, policy, and local delivery. Because if we want to save our buildings, we have to save our traditional skills before it's too late to do either. These buildings are vital to our sense of place. What makes our hometowns and counties so unique, and without the skills to care for them, we risk losing more than bricks and mortar. We risk losing part of who we are.
In In other heritage news, the Grimsby Fishing Heritage Centre have 2 new exhibitions to enjoy. Our Past on Paper, funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund, explores the hidden stories of our area through historical documents. And Streets of Grimsby, funded by Arts Council England, brings together exhibits from the museum's beautiful art collection. The latest meeting of North East Lincolnshire Heritage Network, hosted by Heritage Lincolnshire, included a talk by local environmental artist Sarah Palmer. Musician Stuart Wood presented his Postcards from Cleethorpes project, and Stephen Henry provided advice on making applications to the National Lottery Heritage Fund. Membership is open to all organisations and people with a passion for the heritage of our coastal community. Contact Anna Hartley at Heritage Lincolnshire for more information. Members of the North East Lincolnshire Creative Board recently met to discuss a creative strategy and action plan to shape the future cultural landscape of the area. Chaired by Suki Joao, the regular board members were joined by Catherine Boardman from Arts Council England and Stephen Henry from the National Lottery Heritage Fund. Work on the documentary that charts the 145-year history of Grimsby Town Football Club continues to take shape, with recent contributions from former players, commentators and historians.
Growing up wanting to play at Wembley and save a penalty, that was like my little dream, and I got the opportunity 10 times and failed it 10 times.
Concerns over the future of our local libraries was expressed at a recent public meeting organised by Grimsby Cleethorpes and District Civic Society and addressed by local MP Melanie Onn. A special meeting of the Heritage Network on the 18th of June at YMCA Humber will discuss Phase 2 of the Council's Libraries and Archive Review and potential options for library and archive services. Book your place now to have your say in the future of our libraries. Writers in North East Lincolnshire will be launching their anthology of short fiction at Cleethorpes Library on the 17th of June. Publication of New Crop marks the culmination and realisation of a Links Inspire project funded by Arts Council England that encouraged local writers to explore and experiment with short fiction forms. And Havelocks Kingdom continues to celebrate our local heritage with a series of themed events and activities that feature our origins legend. Well, that's all from the Heritage Channel Tune tonight. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next month for more heritage news, views and stories from our historic coastal community. This programme was made with support from the National Lottery Heritage Fund.